Bo Nix, 4 touchdowns. In the last 7 weeks, he has been the best rookie quarterback in the league without a doubt. Last 7 weeks. 13 touchdowns, 2 picks, 106 passer rating, and 69% completion percentage. And this is not a great roster. They're in cap hell because of the Russell Wilson deal. They're draft pick light. And I told you, I said, I think this is Drew Brees with more mobility. And when Vegas said it was a 5-win team, I'm like, Sean Payton's worth 3 wins. Bo Nix, 61 college starts, going to win some games. Bo Nix looks like, right now, the last 7 weeks, the most consistent quarterback in the entire rookie class. And we told you, Peyton would want him. He's perfect for Peyton, and watch out.
You love to see it, Denver Broncos fans. You love to see it. What I think is so crazy is that, and Colin was ahead of this, I was ahead of this. We've got to do our victory laps because a lot of people were not, right? A lot of people were like, Bo Nix, he can't run a pro offense. Look what he did when he was 19 years old. That's what everyone kept saying. Look what he did when he was, 19 years old. And I kept saying, I don't care what a quarterback does when they were 19 years old. It means nothing to me. It means absolutely positively nothing to me. It was always absurd. He has no arm. He can't throw. Okay, sure. Right? And then it's like, now he's balling. He's got the mobility that nobody wanted to talk about before. I mean, this has been so impressive because you got to look at the team. Like, what I find crazy is that this is without a doubt, the worst the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix are going to be. This is the worst. This is the worst version of them. Do you think we're even close to seeing the best version? Like, that's the thing. Sometimes you get certain young quarterbacks, they go into a team and we see the best version of them because they have the best coaching, the best roster, right? I mean, there's the argument that we saw the best version of Patrick Mahomes a few years ago when he had that stacked roster. Now, it's not to say that they can't rebuild and be great. And it's not to say that Patrick Mahomes still isn't great in his own right. But I just mean in terms of like the best pure version of that team. Would you rather be the Kansas City Chiefs who had prime Travis Kelce, prime Tyreek Hill, right? Like that team was threatening. That team was like anxiety inducing. Now they win every single game is a close one. It's a 1-score game. So the answer is obvious, right? So right now what we have with the Broncos, their team is not stacked. Their roster is not stacked. He does not have all these great weapons to rely on. He does not have that go-to beast of a player, whether it, doesn't matter what position, but he doesn't have that. And he is just a rookie quarterback right now. This is truly his first year in the NFL. And they are in that cap, absurdity that they found themselves in. So this is without a shadow of a doubt the worst version. It's not like Bo Nix is entering this team where it's just like, dude, this team is for real. They're legit. And you're like, all right, this is a great season, but this is the peak, right? It can't get much higher than that. Where else is there to go? How many more weapons do you want him to have, right? How many more, this, that, and the third do you want him to have? He doesn't have that. So this is without a doubt the floor of Bo Nix and this Denver Broncos team. And that's wildly exciting. Wildly exciting. He has to be the front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year, without a doubt. He looks incredibly comfortable. He's physical. He looks big. Like, people wanted to act like Bo Nix for some reason. I forget. I think even Colin said this a few weeks ago, and I was like, wait, what are we talking about? Where they're like, he's not the biggest guy out there. And it was like, well, he's also not the smallest guy out there either. And so it's just like, Bo Nix looks like a big dude. He looks like a true pro NFL quarterback. He doesn't look like he has these issues where you're like, yeah, he's got a pretty good arm, but he can't really move. Or like, yeah, he can move, but like he can't really throw. Or like, yeah, he can throw and move, but like he's kind of slow. Or yeah, he can move and he's kind of fast and he can throw, but he's kind of small and can kind of get hit and banged. Right? Like, he doesn't have any of that. You could say Kyler Murray a little too small. You could say Jay and Daniels a little too thin. You could say insert quarterback's name, can't really throw a great ball, right? Like, you can point out a flaw for virtually like every quarterback out there. What is the true flaw of Bo Nix? I'm not saying he's flawless. I'm not trying to make that argument, but like, what is the glaring flaw that you see in Bo Nix? The glaring weakness where you're like, yeah, right? Like, again, like that is the concern of Jay and Daniels, a little too small. Right? Like, you can say that. about him. You could say, hey, Kyler Murray, he's a little too small, can't see. Tua, right, doesn't have the strongest arm, and there's also the concerns that there's certain plays that he can't see because of his height. Like, you can make some of those arguments. Kirk Cousins, not the most mobile quarterback out there, right? Liability. Jared Goff, liability, mobility-wise. You can make those arguments. What is the argument against Bo Nix? I'd love to see it. I really would. I'm a big fan of trying to find those flaws, of trying to pick apart, because that is how you get closest to the truth. And I'm struggling to find it. Tell me where his weaknesses lie. Show me, because I'm struggling to find it. So I really believe Bo Nix has the ability to continue to grow and be a special player. This was a big win. Again, make no mistake about it. The Falcons are without a doubt an inconsistent team, but they're a good team, right? They may not be a top 3 team in the NFL, but they're certainly not the Jacksonville Jaguars either, okay? And look at what the Broncos did to the Kansas City Chiefs. Look at what that defense did to Patrick Mahomes and that. Look how many points the Bills gave up, technically, right? Like, the Denver Broncos are right there. They are right there. They truly are. I'm expecting them to be able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs their next game. I am. I mean, they're in the playoffs, then who knows how the seeding unfolds, man. That defense is legit. Bo Nix, the training wheels are just thrown away now. I'm sure he's still going to have his handful of rookie moments because he still is a rookie quarterback. And he doesn't have a stacked team to kind of support him and take care of him in those moments. So I'm sure there's still going to be a few handful of lows to be expected. But they also could do some big things. I mean, everybody was so high on these other quarterbacks in years past, and even this season, of like, who's the next CJ Stroud? Can they win a playoff? Can they get to the playoffs? Can they win a playoff game? And right, they had their over-under was 5.5, which back in July I said was nonsense. Before Bo Nix ever took a snap, I was like, that's insane. 5.5 games, get out of here. That's absurd. And now look at them. Look what they're doing. I think it's totally on the board for them to obviously make the playoffs, but then win a playoff game. And not have it be like, yeah, they won a playoff game, but like, my God, look who they played, right? Third string quarterback for this awful team that just somehow won the division because their division is all, like, that's not the case. And you'd have to look at the seeding and see how, how it all unfolds. So maybe they end up going up against a juggernaut first round. That's definitely a possibility. It will all obviously come down to who wins the division and seeding and stuff like that. But they're so ahead of schedule. It's not even funny. And seeing how comfortable Bo Nix continues to be and the trust that Sean Payton puts in Bo Nix, I mean, it's really extraordinary. I'm looking for, what I have right here, right? Bo Nix, 28 for 33, 370 yards, 9.3 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, and a 145 rating. He targeted 10 different receivers. He had chunk plays with all different receivers, so 23, 33, 41, 37, 15. Like, I love to see that because that's now getting these big plays, but not just relying on one weapon to constantly do that. That was to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different receivers. 4 for 4 in the red zone, 22 first downs. Atlanta only had 13, 6 for 11 on third down, 400 total yards. I mean, and this is what I also wrote down, right? Like, let me see here. They played, that's what I wrote down. I forgot that I said that. The Denver Broncos and Bo Nix played the best against the Falcons than any other team. I mean, Patrick Mahomes only had 217 yards and an 87 rating, and the KC only scored 22 points, right? The Broncos scored 38. I mean, you had Dak, Baker, Carr, Geno, Hurts. Bo Nix did better than all of those quarterbacks against the Falcons. And again, I know it's not a perfect comparison. It never is. There is no perfect comparison in the NFL. Sometimes you just got to do with the best that you got. But that's impressive. Just like how we want to say how a lot of times when a young quarterback does really well against a bad team, people always want to explain that away, and I always defend it. But then in that same train of thought, we can say, okay, well then how about we take a common team, a common denominator team that all these other teams are facing and these other quarterbacks, these established teams are facing. Now let's compare it. And again, different teams, different construction. Some teams match up differently. You have injuries, right? Inconsistent with who's playing versus who's not. So that's all fair game to dissect. But it's still a pretty decent comparison. And so to see the comfortability of the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix, and again, the team as a whole, the defense, this defense is not, because again, before you could explain the defense, say, well, hey, they're kind of just playing against bad teams and they're really shutting them down. That's boosting up their numbers. So who knows how good this defense is. Like, that argument is gone now. The defense is for real. Bo Nix is not a scrub. Sean Payton is a good coach. It's almost like he knows what he's doing. Wow, go figure. This team is for real. They will be competing for divisions by next season and the season after, without a doubt. I think this division I've said this now in multiple videos, and I'll keep saying it. The reign of the Kansas City Chiefs is over. It is absolutely over. It is going to be a three-way battle between the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Chargers. I am for it. These games will finally be can't-miss division games. For a while, quite frankly, they were skippable. It was like, who cares, right? It really was. And you're like, well, we know the Chiefs are going to win that division. That's over, man. That is over. Patrick Mahomes better hope that he wins the Super Bowl this year, because the idea of him now having an easy path for a bye, it's over. I truly think it's done. It's gone. The Denver Broncos are for real. Bo Nix is for real. Sean Payton is for real. This defense is for real. Just wait until they have another draft and some free agency and actually have some money to spend. You think this team isn't going to be better than this? You think after they make some of these moves that they're going to be able to do, and also Bo Nix grows and gets a little bit mature, you think this team's not going to be it's not going to be worth another 2, 3, 4 wins? Of course it is. And if that's the case, they're going to be an 11, 12, 13 win team. And if that's the case, checks math, pretty sure that makes them a Super Bowl contender. Pretty sure that puts them in contention to be the number 1 seed, number 2 seed, to actually have home field advantage in the playoffs. The future is so bright for this team, and it's wild. And I'm just happy that I got here early. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix career highs? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.